Hey, welcome everybody. Podcast number 142. Sorry, we're a little bit late. Some of us got in late and we had some connection issues and all that fun stuff. But how's everybody doing in the heat?
I was playing pinball, sorry.
Really good, really good. Yes.
Yeah.
I think people are super excited. Some of their kids are gone to school, and I know that we're kind of getting excited to have some of our league bowlers back. We had our Sunday night draft, and nobody listened to a damn thing I said. So that's par for the course, and I think everybody's just excited to be back to normal here. Yeah.
I can't believe the summer's over. I can't believe league starts.
These are the hottest days of the year. Summer ain't over yet.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I can't believe school's back in. I can't believe leagues are starting again next week, or leagues are starting in some other centers this week, and it's crazy. It just seems like it went by really fast, which is okay.
But it's kind of nice, right? The summer is, obviously we'd like summer to be 6 months long, but the reality is it's not. And to get back into structure, get the kids back into school, get us back to our routines, get leagues going, or whatever other activities we have on a nightly basis. It kind of look forward to get back at it, so it's good.
Yeah, I don't know. Our winter was so hectic, and it was just kind of like boom, like COVID's over, we're going, and it was a lot. Last winter was a lot. So it was like, yeah, let's recharge in the summer, and then that didn't happen. So
yeah. I think the craziest thing is, September 2020, September 2021, we really didn't know what to expect coming to fall with the kids, with everything going on with the virus, what leagues are going to be looking like or hoping to last. I think there's some new excitement knowing that it should be okay, right? It's almost more guaranteed than we ever had in a long time, right? And then there's no real talk about no negative talk about the kids in school or anything like that. So I think it's just, I think it's really good that way. And that's why I'm kind of more excited about this season. Yeah.
Does Kids Bowl Freedom, I'm sure we can talk about this when we have our guests on, but is that now done for you guys? Like that program an August 31st type of thing, or does it have an expiry limit?
We ran it until Labor Day Monday. And the only reason why
every center gets to choose their time period, when they start it, when they end it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we decided we wanted to do it until the end of Monday, just because we had no leagues. Might as well have it open for those that still want to come in. And I think we looked at it, was 3,400 kids we had signed up this year, and which is incredible. I know Salbert had a little bit more than us. Don't know what happened at Bonnie Doon, but realistically, that could be 10,000 kids signed up in our city, which is absolutely incredible for it, right? So yeah, it's good for bowling.
Yeah, good way to promote it to the kids. There was a kid that came in last week for the first time, and they came back this week. They were trying to do a day of fun things last week, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna go bowling, we're gonna go mini golf, we're gonna do all these things, and they have a staggered start this week for school. And then the kids came back this week, and Dad's like, no, they don't care about mini golf, they don't care about any of those things. All they want to do is come back and bowling. So, yeah, it was packed. It was awesome. It's good for the game. Hopefully we'll see some turnover into our YBC programs, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Sounds good. So people that are tuning into this podcast here, as everybody knows, Tim books our podcast here weekly, and he's extraordinarily got all the presidents of the major associations of 5-pin on one podcast, not at the same time, have their little segments to deal with their spiels about the associations, and we get to ask a few questions here and there about them. So Tim, from this point on, you can kind of roll with the podcast. You kind of have the agenda, you know who's supposed to be on at what times and all that good stuff, but go ahead and take it from here, man.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I'm really honored and excited. I think we all are to have all our national presidents on. We have Brian Rossetti from the Masters. There's going to be coming on in 2 minutes. And then we got, or maybe a little bit sooner than that, and then we got Ray Britton in about half an hour from that. And then we have Lenny Ellison from the C5 coming in after that. So 3 really well-respected presidents and who've done a lot for the game of growing the sport. Definitely interested on what's going on for them during the summer, like what's coming up for the season, how their events are doing and whatnot. And I think it's a good way for them to kind of give a spiel out to everybody and get the season started. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. So I think So 1 minute early, we're gonna bring in Mr. Rossetti.
7:15 on the nose.
Or 7:15.
Nailed it.
Okay.
Just
All right.
No,
sit
it's
back,
7:15 right
relax.
now. It's 7:15
Oh, no,
right
is.
now.
not on my computer.
My computer. No.
Atomic clock.
Hendrickson has a good question. Would you count WCBT as a major association? Yeah, there's some good comments.
100%.
Yeah, there's already some good comments out there.
All
we
right,
see
well,
Dakota.
That's
We've
That's
got Carrie
perfect.
on here too, so way to go.
8:45. Carrie
Yeah.
comes at 8:45. Yeah, there it is.
But it's good to see the bowling centers, other people saying, like Dakota and Uptown saying that they were packed during the summer. Obviously, David
Absolutely.
Sisko down Mess and Hat saying that they were packed. I mean, that's great testament, true success of that program. So
Yeah.
All right, shall we bring in Brian?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
We made him wait long enough.
So our president of Masters Association of Canada, Mr. Brian Rossetti. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
hey, Brian.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
Good.
Excellent. How are
Seems
you?
I just saw you maybe a
Oh,
month
you
ago.
long time no
Yeah,
see.
right.
I saw you a couple days ago. Yeah.
Well, I've got everyone on. Hey, thanks for the great help you did volunteering to put on our show up there in Edmonton. That was really good. I think our national went really well.
Yeah. It was super fun to
for
be
you.
there.
Yes. Yeah.
It was super fun to be
So,
there.
what do you
even
want to
though,
know?
like,
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of want to get started with maybe let's talk about how did you get into the Masters. How did you become president? I know you moved up the ranks. You've been here forever in Alberta as a president. What made you want to become the role that you are?
Well, now you're making me.
No, it's not a bad question.
You're making me sound old now, but I guess maybe I am. I do both seniors, by the way. So. Hey, well, first of all, I got into bowling. My mom and dad put me into bowling back when I was young, obviously, in YBC, and I came up the ranks of YBC. And Saturday mornings, I used to watch Scooby-Doo and other shows like that. And then my mom and dad said, "Hey, you're going bowling this year." So they signed me up at Capri Lanes in Lethbridge, Alberta. Never bowled before, and went out that day. And the reason we went to that, and it's still prevalent today, is that it was inexpensive. We didn't have a lot of money in the household, and it was $2.10 for your 3 games. And so there we were, Capri Bowl in Lethbridge. And from there on, I just kept bowling and went to SAIT, moved to Calgary, went to SAIT, quit bowling leagues and everything, but still bowled the Masters and the Open. And then once I graduated from SAIT, a name you'll know well, Mr. Greg Gigliuk. He approached me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in being on our board?" And so I thought about it for a bit, kind of like you did, Dexter. It took me a while to think it through, and finally I decided, I'd come on as treasurer. And as treasurer, it was important because I wanted to learn all the facets of the game, of what the Masters was about, where the money came from, so just because really, I guess as being treasurer, I've always looked at the Masters as a business rather than so that's how we become successful. And I joined. Tom Boytel was the president, and then Gene Zebarth was president, right? And after that, Greg. And then, Greg had been president for about 4 years, and he was just very busy. And he said, "Hey, would you like to become, try to run for president?" So there was an election, and there it was. There I was as president of Alberta, and I've been very fortunate and very proud to represent Alberta. And then how I became national president, you keep going to these meetings for quite a while. And of course, Walter Heaney was the president, and nothing bad to say about Walter. I remember back at our nationals in Quebec, and we invited Walter back to say goodbye and have a closure. And when I introduced him, standing ovation all around, right? What he deserved. Walter gave 39 years to the Masters as president. Some people have been asking me, "Hey, Brian, would you be interested in running for President of Canada?" And so, I said no for a couple of years, but then, they kept asking. So I said, hey, what the heck? I'll try it out. And the rest is history. I got elected, and I'm very fortunate to represent the Masters of Canada. And we have, such a good board. All the presidents and delegates across Canada do a fantastic job. Our meetings are very productive, and especially in the last, especially this last year during COVID, we're having Zoom meetings trying to decide, can we put nationals on, having to cancel a nationals, or two. Anyway, got a really good crew. So that's the history. And if you've ever spoken with me before, I'll let you all know, I've been really lucky in the sport of 5-pin bowling. It's been very good to me. I've been able to go to nationals from Nanaimo, BC, Victoria, all the way to St. John's, Newfoundland, and the sport's been very good to me. So it's my way of giving back to the sport, and that's why I do what I do. Everyone, you're all nodding your head, and that's why you're doing this as well. I know, and I know it's a volunteer thing, but it's giving back to the sport. And that's just important. And I'm hoping that the younger people that are listening take their turn and start getting involved in this, because we're all not getting any younger, and we need the next generation to come along and and help carry on our sport. And I mentioned earlier about Greg Gigliak. I mean, he's been on our board for over 40 years. Like, it's talk about dedication, right?
That guy looks younger than I do.
So there's a long answer to your question,
Yeah,
but
he's not even 40, is he?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Brian,
sorry,
Masters. It's Masters is coming up in Newfoundland. I guess is there any tidbits you can share, where is it being played in and who's in charge and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So our nationals are in St. John's, Newfoundland this year. And, Brad Glenn's the president out there, so I'm sure he's overseeing everything. But he's gone to a person that we all know, Annetta Power. She's an amazing person, has given her life to the sport as well. And I remember my first time I ever went to St. John's, Newfoundland, and it was at the Delta Hotel. In fact, the same host hotel we're going to be using in 2023 is the Delta, just off of George Street. So you walk to a block and you're right on George Street. Fantastic location. And when we checked in, there was this tall young lady, and she says, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm Brian Rossetti. I'm from Alberta." She says, "Well, we'll take care of you," and we'll take care of you by. And she walked us right into to registration, and that was my first time I met Annetta Power, and she's a legend. And I won't give her age away, because when she sees me, she'll kill me. But trust her to say we're in good hands with Annetta out there. So our dates are June 29th is opening ceremony. So I would imagine, I can't speak for all the provinces, but the Western provinces, I can speak for Alberta. We'll fly out June 28th, and we'll have opening ceremonies on June 29th. And then we have the closing ceremonies on July the 3rd, everyone leaving on July the 4th. And we're bowling at Plaza Bowl. So that's where we're bowling at, and that's where we're at, Delta Hotel. And Annetta's the boss. Again.
That's certainly nice when you can play all in one bowling center, isn't it? I mean, we experienced that this year at Bonnie Doon. From what I understand, in years past, you're not always having that luxury. So, different contingents and groups are around. So being able to have that at one center is certainly nice, isn't it?
Yeah. I believe, hey, I know they've written in Plaza Bowl that they'll probably have one more lane, but I am not, because we need 48 lanes. So I expect they'll have another center, but I don't think that's been decided as yet. So I don't want to speak out of turn. They still have for time.
Blooded. Yeah, Plaza's only 36 lanes, right? So they probably would either need a shift. That's kind of tough there too, right? So they'd probably be looking at another set, right? Maybe Holidays
Yeah.
close by. Everything's pretty close there, anyways, for the most part, compared to us out west with Calgary or something like that. So, yeah, that's good. Daryl, I know you had some questions you wanted
Yeah,
to.
well, I guess just first, maybe Brian, take us back and tell us a little bit about the Masters Association. Obviously, there's 3 different categories you can play in. Not everybody that's watching this now or in the future knows exactly what the Masters does. So maybe in a nutshell, tell us a little bit about the offerings for it.
Yeah, so you broke up a little bit, but I think I heard you ask for was a little description of the different divisions of the Masters,
You bet.
and so yeah, so this is the neat part about the Masters. We have the 3 divisions: tournament division, teaching, and seniors. So the tournament division, which is where I made my first nationals, I mean, you're bowling with the best of the best. I mean, I grew up bowling against Lynn Howell, bowling against Gene, against Bruce Mortar, and then all of a sudden you're on a true all-star team. I mean, it's amazing because you're bowling the Open, you're always bowling against these guys, bowling against them, and all of a sudden, hey, I get to bowl with Bruce and Lynn my first years, as well as Dwayne Plato and Medicine Hat, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had such a good time, and that's one of the key things with the Tournament Masters. You get to bowl with everyone in the province, and it really gives an opportunity for people who may live, they're very good bowlers and live in a not so strong zone. Bonnie McDonald's a perfect example. I mean, I know over the years, and my memory serves me right, I think the North Zone's won once, and that was before Bonnie's time, but now she's got a chance to go to nationals all the time, and the rest of Canada gets to see how good she is, right? And same with, of course, Diane's down south as well. Diane Violini, she just keeps going. So that's the highlight of the tournament division. You're really you're bowling with the best of the best, and then you go to nationals, and you're bowling the best of the best from every province. I mean, the competition is top notch. Everyone that makes those provincial teams, it's not by luck. I mean, you're a shooter. So that's the tournament division, and as well as singles. We have that unique format in the singles where it's match play and with points, and of course that's always interesting. I remember back when Sherry Lessick won in 1984, and she struggled in the round robin, but the time was just right for her, and she won enough matches just to get in the step ladder. And then on Saturday, she caught fire, and there you go, presto, Canadian champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anything can happen in the tournament division. And then the second division, which is really neat, is our teaching division. Really the grassroots and really the strength of our association. We have so many teaching members across Canada, and many of them are coaches of kids. So what's really neat for them is they get to bowl against each other every once in a while. They get the opportunity to go to a provincial final and a national final and then compete. And, I kind of listen to them over the years, and you say, hey, and they all know each other because they're coach kids at YBC nationals, and they kind of know each other. And so the teaching divisions is really good, and it gives everyone an opportunity to make the national. Doesn't matter if you have a 120 average or, a 240, 250 average. A little tough sledding if you got a really high average, but I have seen people with higher averages making the teaching division as well. So that's a really nice outlet to let all those coaches be able to actually compete, right? And then we have the seniors. Well, the seniors is, is the POA at the nationals, but some provinces have a scratch division like ourselves in Alberta and in Ontario. And it's more of a, it's very competitive. But it's more everyone's. Everyone's happy to be there. Happy to be there. As bad as that may sound, I, I remember bowling one year with a fella, and I mean, he's on oxygen. So he goes, throws his 3 balls, comes back and hooks his oxygen up. I mean, it's a real reality check, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here's a guy, he's just so happy to be there. And so seniors is, we when we get to nationals, it's a POA event. And it's more of a relaxed division in the seniors, because everyone's just happy to be there. More social, I guess I would say. So that's the 3 divisions we have, and what makes it a bit different. And once again, in seniors, I mean, there's some good shooters in the seniors. Jeff Bourne this year, bowling seniors, and there's always really good shooters like Terry Little out of Ontario, and Jim Head's been on the team. And then next, I guess he couldn't make the seniors, so he made the tournament division this year and won a gold medal, right? So
It's like Dave Biscotti was on the seniors.
Ageless.
This year,
That's
and
the great
that blew my mind.
guys. That's the great thing about our sport. We can compete.
So
We
Brian,
compete
oh, sorry.
as long as we can throw. We can compete, and if you get a little, something goes wrong with your body and you can't compete at a high level, you can always compete at POA, right? That's why our sport's fantastic.
Perfect. So Brian, for those that are out here that haven't joined the Masters before, who do you try to contact in your provincial association, or is there a way for them to learn more about it in order to be able to join?
Yeah, well, certainly each province has their presidents and delegates. Get in touch. Who's a really driving force too is proprietors. The proprietors, they will know mainly who to get in contact with. Like in Alberta, you can contact myself, or just you can contact our zone directors. We have it all on our website, mbaof8.ca, and you can get in touch with a zone director. So a combination of the zone directors and proprietors can steer you in the right direction and get you signed up for sure.
Perfect.
How do you, when it comes to numbers for the 3 different divisions, is that something you watch each year if enrollment is up, or is it going down? And I guess with that is, how do you define success for the year? Is it by the numbers, or what does that look like for you guys?
Well, yeah, for sure. Every September, we have a meeting coming up here, September 11th, I believe, our first Masters meeting in Alberta, and we review where we're at, how many people joined in the tournament division, and so Dexter will be given a report on how the turnout was last year, and we, last year is a bit of a challenge because of the COVID, right? Our numbers were down. We always look at the numbers because membership is key to us. Before COVID, we probably had around 370 to 390 members all the time. And then last year, we were about 289. So lost 100. But there's quite a few that were nervous about playing at the beginning. So we will review that. We do review that. The teaching division is the bread and butter. They have the most members, and the seniors have a good amount of players, and your tournament division, of course. Dex, probably you're running around 45 to 50, are you not?
Yeah, somewhere in around
Total?
45 to 50 for the most part. The funny thing about our division was that we were actually up numbers last year from the previous year, which is interesting. The previous year was Newfoundland too, the last time we got to compete. But I think everybody in the tournament division was less cautious and more just wanting to play. So they came out last year, and we had pretty decent numbers. 45, I think, 45, 46.
And do you see it fluctuate, Dex, between where the national event is? Obviously, Newfoundland is sort of a highlight for everybody.
Notoriously, Newfoundland is one of the highest.
Yeah,
for sure.
Dex, I can answer that one because I've been seen it for a while. We call it the Newfoundland bump, right? I mean, Newfoundland we usually get way more. A lot of people want to go to Newfoundland, so our number always goes up in Newfoundland and then, comes down. But yeah, for sure, Newfoundland, we're expecting a lot more members than usual, Daryl.
So it's a tough act to follow from Newfoundland. I feel bad for who's after them.
No, it's not us.
Yeah.
Winnipeg.
Going to Winnipeg, yeah.
Usually we're
Winnipeg-
after Newfoundland, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Winnipeg has a huge draw, and
Yeah,
you
because-
have great support. Yeah.
Yeah, because of the COVID, it usually goes Newfoundland and then Alberta, and then Manitoba. And so because of the COVID and all that, we had to cancel nationals. So it's actually Winnipeg, but we will be flipping back the other way in future.
What would you say is like the biggest challenge maybe facing the Masters? Is it, like you said, the location of a tournament? Is it COVID obviously was a big issue? Is it format for qualifying sometimes there's 6 events, is it the July long weekend? I'm just putting some things out there. I'm not trying to point to anything specific. I'm just asking a general question. In general, what do you think would be biggest hurdles and the challenges that the Masters has to overcome on an annual basis?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question, Daryl. Thanks for asking that one. So the biggest challenge that we have across Canada in each province is funds to go to nationals. I mean, it gets more expensive every year, and we're very fortunate that each province has been skilled at squirreling money away and saving up to go to nationals, be it an assessment, fundraisers. At different provinces have different fundraisers, golf tournaments to raise funds. That's the biggest challenge. And for example, I can only speak for Alberta, and I apologize to everyone out there, but I mean, looking at the budget, our budget's probably around $65,000 to $70,000, to go to St. John's, Newfoundland. So, but we knew that 2 years ago. We're kind of safe for that. So everyone's gotten in the swing of things of planning for travel. But that's the single biggest thing is financial, right? Because we're fortunate, we have a lot of members, but it's years of planning. I mean, with Alberta, we host. We've been in Quebec. We usually have 3 big travels, and then we've got a couple nationals in Western Canada, so we can catch up a bit and build up our funds again, right? But funding, that's a long answer to your simple question, but I without a doubt across Canada, it's getting the funds to go to nationals.
Correct. So it must have been difficult hosting a nationals, because that comes a lot of out of our pockets, if I remember correctly, and then going to Newfoundland. So it's a big hit, I guess you can say, these last 2 years, or these next 2 years, whatever you want to look at it.
Yeah, Newfoundland's a big hit, and then hosting is always a hit too. Although we've done, with everyone's help, we've done very well in Alberta. But it's the big hit.
Another challenge
and
that
then,
we're
I guess the second thing. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. So then the second thing there would be just membership. I mean, we're our biggest challenge is getting the graduating YBC bowlers to bowl, join the Masters. I mean, that's what we need to do, because I mean, seniors, we keep playing, but eventually we're not going to be around to play anymore. And we're always trying to recruit YBC bowlers, and so that helps them bowl after YBC with the proprietors, because then they've got people bowling, and it helps our membership as well. But our membership in all provinces has been it's been pretty good, actually. I know for Brad and his group out there in Newfoundland have done a really good job. I remember for years, okay, well, how many do we need? You need 32. We've got 33. so we're okay, 50 scrounging trying to get one more person. But Brad, not now there's I can't quite remember the numbers off the top of my head, but high 40s or 50 I think they have. So all the provinces are doing okay as far as that goes. Yeah, there you go. So that'd be our two challenges.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to hear that with Newfoundland. I think that's kind of collectively something they've worked on through all organizations and bowling as a whole. You could definitely tell that there's an excitement in Newfoundland over the last decade or so that's been continually growing, and I wonder some of that's having influential people like Bobby O when he was around and doing great work at Holiday Lanes and Paradise, and then you have Melissa and Shane Chafe doing NBT, and you start to see the growth as a whole in bowling out there, just people wanting to compete all the time, and then you start to see growth around all the organizations based around it. So I think that it's putting in really good work, and it's nice to see just a kind of a spark around the country too. I mean, you're starting to see it in Winnipeg again too, in Manitoba. Definitely more people playing out there, and it's just nice to see the excitement back out to play.
Yeah, I know. I did notice at nationals in Edmonton. I was fortunate that we had the tournament ladies from Newfoundland, and man, a lot of young women there, right? Pretty good.
Yeah, I think
So that's a good
NBT has an event next weekend, don't they? I think I saw something about they have a tournament next weekend. Yeah.
They do have a tournament,
Yeah. Jim Head had a good question there about the Maritimes. Will PEI and Nova Scotia be participating in Newfoundland? Now, obviously, they're closer in proximity that they wouldn't necessarily be able to travel everywhere. But do you know any insight on that, Brian?
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, with the Maritimes, they were scheduled to join us, but negotiations kind of fell off. The challenge with that, and they're not dead. They're always open, but the challenge is they can't host a nationals. So part of being in Masters is you take your turn hosting nationals, which is a big expense. So imagine, how do you make it fair and equitable for all the provinces when you just get to go to the nationals, but you don't have to pay to go to host a nationals. So that's a bit of a stumbling block. We won't get into the details here, but the ball's in their court. We did have some negotiations with them. It didn't turn out favorably with their membership, I guess I'll put it at that. But the door's always open for them to come back, hopefully in the Masters sometime in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, an Atlantic team was something that I was always hoping would happen at some point. Obviously, there's a lot of logistics involved with that, but I think an Atlantic team. There's so many talented players in PEI and Nova Scotia that I'm sure would relish the opportunity to play. I mean, Freddie Toffelmeyer for one. I mean, he comes out to Alberta for a while and then goes makes Masters Nationals and wins out of Alberta, and I'm sure he'd love an opportunity to go back too. So I think an Atlantics team would be really neat, but obviously, there's a lot of logistics and but I mean, here's Val, and Val is an incredible ambassador of the game. She works so hard at everything too, and there's always hope.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I didn't know about the whole hosting thing. That does make some sense. I think New Brunswick is eight
the door's
lanes.
open.
Yeah, Nova
Just
Scotia
have to try to work things out.
There isn't a whole lot of lanes available, and logistics with everything going across the country would be real tough for it. Yeah. Perfect. All right, so we're going to wrap it up here with Brian. Brian, do you have any other closing remarks or anything before we let you go? I do appreciate you coming on and letting everybody know about the Masters and what they're doing this year.
Yeah. Hey. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you all for what you're doing for our sport, and talk to your local proprietor. Look online. You're bound to find someone and sign up for the Masters. And we hope to see you in Newfoundland or anywhere else, even at Chinook Mall. Yeah, you can see it anywhere. So, and of course, Dexter, I'll be seeing you at meetings. So,
You bet. Yep. We'll see you.
so
in a
hey,
week.
thanks for
Yep.
inviting me and letting me to talk about the Masters. I really appreciate it. We're a great organization.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, man.
Awesome, good stuff.
Perfect.
Take care, Brian.
All right, we're gonna just let Brian go there. So, yeah, Masters is a good organization. They have all different skill levels. You have your seniors, your POA, your scratch. Newfoundland's being hosted for their nationals. I was just out there for the Open. I tell you what, it's gonna be a good time out there for sure. How would you? Are you guys playing Masters this year at all?
Oh yeah.
Always.
I gotta be there.
That's fair. That's right. Dexter has to be there. Yeah.
For me, guys, you know the answer for that. I'm not a Masters player. I've got 2 kids and a busy life on the side. That it's just one tournament that I've never really played in. I did when I was really young and played 1 year, and and yeah, it's just something that I just can't fit into the schedule. So it's a cool event. I support it. I respect it. And Brian even said it's the best on best, and that's the thing that sort of I miss out on, is the opportunity to play with people from Calgary, people from Medicine Hat, people from North, wherever it is. And that's the cool thing, that across the province you get the best players coming to compete on one team. It's not just within your zone. So maybe someday, just not yet. So
Yeah, and I would like to encourage some of the provinces out there. I know BC and Saskatchewan, and some other ones sometimes struggle for membership or participation. You got to go out and give it a shot, and definitely give your shot for at least for nationals, or at least try. It's only 2 weekends in a lot of those other places instead of us with 3, so yeah, to give it a shot there.
And just, Tim, quickly, the prerequisite in order to be a Masters, you can't just sort of simply sign up and register. You have to have taken at least. Sorry.
It
In
depends on the
Alberta,
province.
it depends on the province. So in Alberta, you have to take the community sport. That's part of their prerequisite. In other provinces, I can't speak which ones. You just have to sign up.
For the people that don't know, community sport is a coaching program, part of the curriculum.
Yeah.
Okay, just simply to take the program. It doesn't mean you have to actually be a coach and actively involved.
Correct.
That's right.
In Alberta, it just means that you have to have taken that clinic and maybe making ethical decisions or any of that stuff. But okay,
All
so
that
it's different
fun
for
stuff,
each
yeah.
province. And so is the
Correct.
qualifying for different divisions through each province. They sort of dictate their own, what that qualifying
Correct.
looks like, right? Different weekends,
Right.
different everything. So
Yeah.
Personally, I find Masters Nationals one of the neatest nationals there is. Like you said, it's the best of the best playing. You get to play with players that you don't get to play with at the Open. You're usually competing against them and stuff like that. So it's a neat mixture of players out of your province, I guess you could call it. My first national, so it's always going to have a special place in my career, right?
Absolutely.
Karen and I have been
It's-
trying to make a team together for 15 years, and we keep failing. So
Me, you, and Wilton. I'll never get on a team with either of you guys.
so you had to start the pro league, hey?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No, it's definitely well worth it. So like I said, check your local proprietors if they have any information, or search it online. There's always something there, right? So, let's get into the second president out there that we have on from another association, our Proprietors Association of Canada, Bowl Canada. We have Ray Britton. Hey, Ray.
Hey guys, how's it
Hey, Ray.
going?
Hey,
welcome
Good.
aboard.
I was some of your viewers might not realize that the last time we spoke together, it was me interviewing you guys. I was doing a thing called the Athlete Development Matrix, and I wanted to talk to high-level 5-pin bowlers and see how they attained that level of expertise. So now the shoe's on the other foot. So it's great to be here.
The answer
was
to
it
the
a
question
complete
is
waste
dumb
of time,
luck.
Ray?
Well, the project never got finished, but it wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your presidency.
Thank you.
yes.
When we heard that you took over as president, I'm not gonna lie, I was
Very
very,
elated,
happy. You are no, without question, you are and no disrespect to anybody else on the board, but you're a person that we've held in high esteem and great respect for a long time. So we're really glad that you're on board, and it's good for the sport.
Thank you. I did enjoy being vice president for 8 years. I'm not one who likes the spotlight, so I was really happy there. I think they might name the vice presidency after me one day. But yeah, president. Here we are, presidency.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. You know what? You get just enough say, but you don't have to do all the hard work, right? Or the
Sure.
figurehead speech. Yeah, yeah,
He just gets to show up on these shows now.
That's right.
yeah.
You've had past presidents. I know you had Arnie on, so that was great.
Yeah.
I love Arnie.
Arnie's a jazz.
Arnie's
He's a good
quite the
dude.
guy. Yeah.
I just got a new Facebook request for him, and I'm not sure if it's legit.
Yes, so did I.
That's a scary
Arnie,
That's
if
what
it's-
I'm not sure
if
about.
it's-
Sounds like a hack.
If it's you, tell us, because I'm not accepting it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I said he was a Habs fan. I think that's wrong, right? So no.
Probably not Arnie then.
No. So same question. We'll get started with you, Ray. As how
Sure.
I know your family has always been in the bowling business, right? But how did you really get involved, or how did you get started, and how did you become to where you're at now?
Yeah, so as you said, I really had no say in the matter because when I was born, my family owned a bowling center. They bought a place called Brecon Lanes in Nanaimo in 1967. The business had started in 1956, and when they bought it, my dad was driving logging truck and then running the center at night, and my mom would help out. And then in 1978, I mean, we're talking about the heyday of bowling. 6 lanes wasn't enough anymore, so they built a 16-lane center of 13,500 square feet, freestanding, and 16 lanes, and that's where we are today. So, I just grew up in the business. I did YBC from the moment I could, and I graduated in the program. I was never a great bowler. I went to some provincial finals, but for YBC, I was never competitive really at anything else. But I do enjoy it. I still play in league. And I think it was about 20 years ago, I decided that I would like to buy the business from my dad. I had worked after high school. I went to university for business, got a business degree in marketing and HR. And I worked in financial services and banking for a few years. And I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and my older brothers did their own thing. They actually had moved out of town. And my dad wasn't getting any younger. And, I saw that it was, it's a pillar of the community because, as you guys know, it's a place where a lot of people go to have some fun and let their hair down. And I just saw value in that. So my wife was on board, and 20 years ago, we bought the business. And I guess for me, just observing my dad going through the same thing. My dad was actually Bowl Canada president back in the late 80s. So fun fact, we're the first father-son Bowl Canada presidents. So, I knew that it's just what you do. You go to the meetings, and, there's just an incredible value in sharing experiences with others and swapping stories and best practices and meeting new people that are really in the same boat as you. So I did that, I think, 2 years after I bought the center. First one was in Niagara Falls, and I've almost been to every one since then. So that'd be 18 years, but I missed one for a family wedding. Didn't get to go to Saskatoon, darn it. But I've been at every one since. And I got involved with the BC Proprietors Association, very ground floor. I was the Vancouver Island representative for a few years, and then got a chance to go into the executive as treasurer and then YBC chair. Did that for a few years, and then with the changes in the Not-for-Profit Act in Bowl Canada, the whole thing changed. So 9 years ago, I guess, ran for the national board, and I hadn't actually been Bowl BC president, but it got elected onto the Bowl Canada board and been there ever since. So I've done a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I know this was a question Daryl was going to talk about maybe a little bit later, but it's a good time for it. Do you want to go through how the board is elected, and what positions are available on the board, and how that whole process works?
Yeah. So like I said, there was a thing we called the Not-for-Profit Act in Bowl Canada. Being a not-for-profit association, we were bound to make changes as a result of that. So you could no longer be on the board by being president or elected in your province. You had to be elected nationally. So the way it works now is that every year there's an election, There are 5 positions: president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, 5-pin chair, 10-pin chair / marketing chair. So we have an election every year. Well, we're supposed to have an election every year. If there's still only 5 people putting their names up, there's no election. So we actually did have a couple of people step down this year. They had served quite a while on the board. Trevor Peters and Martin Van Campima. You guys would know Martin, obviously. And Rod Hennessy. So 3 positions opened up. And once the 5 people are elected by the general membership at the meeting, then those 5 people go and vote between themselves who will be president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, 5-pin, 10-pin.
Interesting.
Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Yeah.
I didn't realize it was such a small board.
Yeah, we did have 6 at one point. And we just realized a few years ago that, with the industry going the way it is, unfortunately, another board member essentially costs money because of expenses. So we just decided, with the blessing of the membership, that a board of 5 would suffice.
Absolutely.
Can you talk a bit about, obviously, the Bowl Canada is representing the proprietors across the country. It's not a Masters for the bowlers or the C5 is for the bowlers, but it's more of the business owners and the proprietors. Sort of just evolve a little bit on that, of sort of what the mandate is of Bowl Canada and what the responsibilities are that you're looking to accomplish throughout the year.
Sure. Yeah. So as you say, we're comprised of the trade association of people that own bowling centers. So our members are the bowling proprietors. And, there's a few different important things that we like to accomplish. Obviously, we want to create value for our members, which means helping them earn money and pay the bills and be profitable. And so to that end, we have our YBC program, which, brings people into the bowling centers typically on weekends, weekend mornings, maybe a little bit slower, different than it used to be, of course. Weekends are a little bit different. We also have the 55 plus national program, as well as the Sunshine program, which is a relatively, newer than the others, which is the special needs program. And that's a national thing as well. We also have what we call power purchase programs that are meant to save proprietors money. Anything from, food and beverage to insurance to redemption, sort of arcade supplies, technology, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you find that that's a little bit differing across the country? Somebody, the accessibility to all those things within Nanaimo might be different from somebody in Newfoundland versus somebody in, northern Alberta. So that leading to that next question, to the challenges that you might have, is that not everybody has the opportunity and accessibility to all the things that you have to offer.
Yeah, exactly. We try to have, a good array of products. If you're are you talking specifically about the power purchase programs? Okay, just anything.
Just in general, that obviously the diversity of a bowling center that might have 4 lanes versus a center that has 16 versus a letter that, we were just out at Nebs that has 52 lanes.
Yeah.
Right. So just the availability and the accessibility to, to run all these programs, do all these things is obviously different, presenting a challenge for you as a board.
Right. Yeah. So I guess to answer that question, I would say that we try to have something for everybody. Maybe they can't use everything. And I certainly don't use all of the power purchase programs because I don't have a redemption arcade at this point. So, I don't make use of that, but it's a very valuable program for those that do have it because they save a ton of money on purchasing plush and prizes and that sort of thing. Some centers don't have YBC, but they're still members because maybe they're more of an entertainment focused center. So they are able to make use of the food and beverage buying programs and the redemption and that sort of thing. So, even though if you can't use everything, we hope that you can use something that will save you money and ultimately save the cost of membership or, more than pay for the cost of membership.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You have something for FEC centers where they're more. We're at a point in time where we're at a juncture where there's two different styles of bowling alleys, and there's intermixing in between, and that being FECs being just entertainment centers that are there for basically bowling for fun, and then having all the arcades and all those things and stuff like that. And then you have the centers that are focused on leagues, and at least, yeah, you're right. You have something for the arcade side of things and the FEC side of stuff, and if you have something for the league-based centers where you have your YBC program and your tournaments and those sort of things, then that's beneficial for everybody. Do you want?
For sure, and that's I think the reason why we're starting to add some of the purchase programs for, the plush and that sort of thing, because we identify that centers are changing and the way they make money is changing. And so we are trying to adapt as an association because we realize that the industry is changing. And, we obviously will have an eye on the past of, we love YBC at the flagship program, but we realize we don't have 70,000 kids anymore, right? Yeah. And so we try to help everybody as much as possible.
Yeah, totally. The YBC program isn't exactly a huge money-making thing at this point. It's something that we do as a center to promote the game, make a little bit of money on the off times, but more than that, it's to generate income 5, 10, 15 years down the road where these people are staying in your leagues for a long term. But on the short term, it doesn't make a ton of money, and that's okay. It's good for the game because we need those bowlers eventually.
Sure. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't know of anybody's YBC program that is more than it was 10 years ago, which is too bad, but it is a foundational grassroots program. And, if you don't keep feeding that funnel, even though you may not be making up for the losses you take every year, as long as you keep feeding new kids in, maybe 15 years down the road when they've got a coworker that says, hey, I'm on a bowling team, we need a player. This person will say, well, I did play for a year back when I was 11. So it's not like it's totally new to me, but it's just filling that pipeline is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. I guess that's a good interlude or move on to the next topic. YBC, we had finally had our nationals at Nebs.
Yes.
And how was the first new trial run of that kind of new format go for you guys?
It was just so cool to see everybody together again. And you guys played at Nebs, but man, seeing 48 lanes of YBC kids, for all those days, and the parents and just the energy is unbelievable. And then I didn't even know some of the stories coming out of it. The guests that you guys had on afterwards, some of those stories were phenomenal. I mean, you've got the dad and the two girls winning the senior girls team. And then the silver medalist was also a dad and two girls that hit their daughters. And then Dennis with his grandkids and, Colton winning the senior boys, and he had just played in the Open. I mean, such cool stories. Yeah. And it was a little weird doing it in July, and we will get back to May next year. But, as you know, Tom and Jeff and the England family and, Steve Barker, they do a great job. It was really just good to see everybody again.
Yeah. So where do you have nationals now coming up this year?
Regina. Yeah, so multiple centers. We need 48 lanes. So, I believe we'll be playing at the four centers in Regina.
So, so Glencairn, Northtown, Golden Mile, and
Bolorama.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one nice thing about hosting. Well, not the one nice thing. One of the many nice things about hosting at Nebs is how often can you have all of those kids in one center at one time?
Yes.
How hard was it to keep them focused on bowling with all the arcades and games and stuff?
Man,
it's
pretty
hard
wild
for me to focus on bowling.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I had a hard enough time. I was always checking out the games. It's quite a place. Anybody that hasn't been there has to go. As a 5-pin bowler, you have to do yourself a favor and buy a ticket to Toronto and make your way out to Nebs, just to say you've been. It's got to be a bucket list thing for 5-pin bowlers.
Totally. And they give out wonderful free tours.
Oh yeah. Oh, I
Take-
made sure I got mine.
Yeah, the redemption games will get you right, Dex.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing we can talk about is with your youth program there, Ray, was the shootout and
Yes.
how much of a success that is with everything.
Yeah,
do you want to
unbelievable.
explain how many entries you got this year, and maybe explain a little bit of what it is? It was a Jamie Noonan idea, was it not?
Yep. Yeah. Jamie Newton came up with the idea. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes, trying to find the number of shootout. Yes, I got it. Jamie Newton started it out. We did it as a kind of a pilot program about 3 years ago, and then we had a few more centers come into the fold with a new system. Kevin Burns at the office built an app, so you could go in at any time and see who your match was against. It's phenomenal. And this past year we expanded it. I think we only had it for, I can't remember how many centers we did last year. We kind of got shut down with COVID. So we started it and couldn't finish it. This year, we couldn't really start it because we would have liked to start after Christmas. A lot of centers weren't open. It's hard to believe that it was just this past year that a lot of centers weren't open in like January. But leagues couldn't run, so we had to wait until March or April to start it. So typically the format is we've got Bantam, Junior, Senior, Pins Over, and Scratch, and there's a 2-week qualifying, and then those people that qualify are seeded into brackets, and then the brackets just keep working their way down until you've got, head-to-head, and then you pay out prize money for the top X number of places, depending how many entries you've got. This year, what we had to do, because we started late and didn't have time for the qualifying, we had to just assign everybody into a bracket. So we had dozens, if not hundreds of brackets, because we had 2,756 entries to be exact. That's across all divisions, which is amazing. And this is during COVID when even our YBC is down. So, it was a little different than we would have liked, but it happened. And just the level of engagement with the kids, I would go tell my kids, hey, do you know who you're bowling against? Yeah, some kid in Newfoundland. And it's kind of surreal that, they just have a little extra motivation at league bowling that week. Because, sometimes later in the season, you kind of forget what you're doing there. And, the YBC Championships is done and you're not really qualifying for anything. So it's a nice little thing to keep the kids engaged, especially during COVID when we couldn't really do anything. And we actually also offered one for 55 plus and the adult leagues on a team basis. And that was strictly Pins Over average.
And that was that your version of the Bowl Canada Cup this year?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, it was just all online this year. So
yeah. Is that something that you're going to be changing back in the future, or what's the plan with that?
Yeah, we do plan to have the Bowl Canada Cup in person next year. That would require a few more hoops because we've got the 5-pin and 10-pin Bowl Canada Cup, as well as the Club 55 Cup that we like to do in one place. So we're close to mentioning, but I'm not at liberty to give out any information on the exact location at this point because it is close to being booked, but not 100%.
No, top secret.
Yes.
We do have a question here in the chat. Bill Brooks, what was the feedback on the new YBC Nationals format, and will there be changes in the future?
Yeah, so I kind of say we're victims of our own success when it comes to YBC Nationals because we decided to add another medal event for both singles and teams. So for those of you that don't know, the first day of the competition, the Bantam Junior Senior Girl form a team and they bowl as a team in a medal event. Same with the boys. And then the doubles teams, say for example, the junior boys and junior girls from BC will form a 4-player team and then play for a medal. And everybody loves, well, I shouldn't say everybody. Most people love those events. Can't say everybody, but most people love those events because it's another opportunity to win a medal. The only thing is it adds to the schedule, which slows things down. So when we were at NEBS in 2019, I actually wasn't there. I was supervising the 10-pin national, but I did have a team from my center there. And they said, Ray, it just like we didn't get out of there till like I don't know if it was 9:30 or 10 o'clock. So we did have to make some changes. Is it perfect? No. So we do have a committee that's going to get together to discuss that, and it will be a variety of stakeholders to discuss the format. Some people love the format because you can't say it wasn't exciting, because even as you found out on the podcast that you did with the winners, some of them wouldn't have won a medal, and they ended up winning, which I mean that's really cool. Anytime you've got a step ladder, number 4 could come up and win, if they play right. So like I said, it's not perfect, and but you can't say it wasn't exciting.
Totally.
I think that's the issue that any association or anything dealing with a whole national event, it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to please everybody, but it's the getting the best result in the end, right? And I think you guys had a real awesome result. It was so good.
Yeah. Sorry. We have a dog.
Yeah, he doesn't agree, apparently.
I was wondering, I don't think any of us four have
Sound
a dog.
effects. I had to put my cats out
Let's
because
go bark
they
like
have a
that.
habit of walking in front of the screen. But as on that topic, I was watching the Little League World Series. They don't play every team. If you get beat twice, you're out.
Right.
So Canada didn't play. Who did they play? I know they beat Japan, but
They played Mexico and lost. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So they didn't play all of the international countries because they lost twice. So, I mean, part of me likes to say, well, that's just the format. So, the format's the format. The only issue is that we had, many years of a different format. And because, we decided to add an event, we did have to make some changes. So, people don't like change. So, but like I said,
it takes time. Yeah.
We are
It takes
taking
time.
feedback.
Yeah.
You had some interesting comments about National Classified, and I don't know the history
Yes.
of where that's at
Saw
now,
that.
but might be worth addressing sort of where we're at with that and it coming back, or what the thoughts are there.
A lot of people did love National Classified, and I know Tim's one of them.
Yes.
Jim Llewellyn from Winnipeg loves it because he's been the defending champion for how many years now? Because his team was the last one to win.
He beat mine, yeah.
Yeah. And it was a good event. It was also, for a lot of people that don't see the insides of it, it was a very expensive tournament to run. And the entries got to the point where it wasn't feasible anymore. And a lot of centers, and I know it wasn't just my own, had trouble fielding class whatever. So you'd have to put in a subpar team because somebody moved up from a lower average class into a higher average class just for the sake of making a team. And I mean, I did have some teams have some great success. They went to nationals and they had a great time. I liked it too, but the hard reality is that if a tournament is costing money, and that wasn't just nationally, every province had to put on a provincial as well, and that's not cheap either. So in totality, the cost that it took nationally, just with adding up all the provinces, et cetera, to put on the event was staggering. So unfortunately, we had to make a change. And there's some people that we replaced it with the Bowl Canada Cup. It is a different event. It's strictly pins over average. And a lot of centers do very well with it because they hold, I know one example is Port Coquitlam. They love the event. They do a Port Coquitlam Cup, and they have multiple qualifiers, and they feed a lot of people through to try and win the Port Coquitlam Cup for the honor of going to the Bowl BC Cup, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the success of any tournament is how much effort you put into it and what you make of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I know, speaking from our center, we have a real hard time sometimes with the Canada Cup. I also think it factors in. There's in Alberta and especially Edmonton, there's a ton of different events out there.
Right.
And
For sure.
It's just trying to find the right time to do it properly
Yeah.
is real tough for us. But we still get our team in there. I know one of our senior teams went in there and went to national. I think they won, I believe, before COVID happened. So
Right.
the people that do participate, they do like it. So it's a
Sure.
good program still. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than the reason that I want people to do the YBC shootout is because it's just keeping up the level of engagement, you know, and it does go to a provincial and national. So for those that are interested in competition, it's a fairly good way to get your feet wet.
Correct.
Another good question that I noticed there was regarding the YBC enrollment being down the last 10 years. And that's probably a tough, question to answer why, because there's many different factors, especially across the country in various provinces. But I think we spin it as, what is Bowl Canada doing in order to help enrollment throughout various provinces, or anything specifically that maybe you're seeing in other centers that are having success, maybe getting people bowling? Maybe it's the Kids Bowl Free program or different things. What can we do in order to help enrollment increase rather than focusing on the fact that it's been decreasing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is a great question, and I was actually really surprised to hear some of the numbers of the Kids Bowl Free in Edmonton. That's astonishing. And then the strength of that program, yes, a whole bunch of kids get to bowl for free, but then you also have a means to contact those people. So I think that's, if we're talking about the success of that program specifically, it's what the centers are doing with that information now. Are they contacting those people and saying, hey, we're going to start an 8-week program. I understand it's not a full season, but that is the end goal, is to get them to bowl a full season. So it's just, sharing best practices to say, well, what are you doing with your Kids Bowl Free bowlers? Are you going to do an 8-week program, or are you just trying to get them into your 28-week program? Actually, just recently, we are doing a national Facebook campaign for the centers that are interested in it. So Tim and Dex, make sure you guys take advantage of that. Yep. It is going to be targeted to this, I think it's a 10 or 20 kilometer radius of your center, offering $5 off YBC membership for your center. Obviously, that's comes off the national portion. So just a way to get bowling in front of people. We've created some social media or website ready advertising. We did a photo shoot that has, seniors and kids. We've got a variety of shareable photos that we did a number of years ago at NEBS. So just trying to get bowling out there and make it interesting for people. We did have the 8-for-8 program, whereby the kids bowl an 8-week program, they get a bowling ball at the end. So all these little things to try and get people in the door and build some excitement.
Totally.
Is there, that's on, sorry, Dex, on the YBC side of things, what about adult leagues? Obviously there's, governing that side of things too. Do we see a decrease in adult leagues across the country, or have those somewhat stabilized, or are we looking at any increase in sort of now that pandemic is done, or what sort of numbers are you seeing within adult leagues across the country?
Yeah, it's interesting actually. Jeff England did a survey on a Bowl Canada Facebook page, just kind of wondering what people are thinking, how your leagues are going to compare to 2019, which is really the last year you want to compare against, because 20 and 21 were really goofy. So, but there was a lot of positivity. A lot of people are thinking that we could see those people come back. I personally haven't seen it yet, but I think that the best thing we can do for that is share best practices. And that's really the strength of the association is the networking and sharing best practices, and, rising tides lift all ships. So let's rise it. Let's raise it.
Yeah. I agree.
I think we're definitely feeling that positivity, Tim? Tim's been doing an excellent job with getting our leagues all organized and stuff, and it sounds like we're going to be stuffed.
Which is, we're fortunate during the COVID years, we were still running 80%. So, not upset by any means on that. So, you got to find ways in order to bring people in. And for the Kids Bowl Free, for example, I have a registration draw at the front counter. It says we'll do a draw for YBC, and everybody wins one in a family. They don't have to know.
Nice.
Right? Unless they're watching this.
Right?
There's the best practices. I want to hear that at the AGM this year, Tim.
Yeah. Well, Mom doesn't let me go, so I mean that's fine. So you can talk to her about that.
But for those proprietors listening, if you're wanting to get your kids into the YBC program and you're not running the Kids Bowl free program, definitely consider it in the summer. Definitely consider it, because that is easily the best way that we've gotten more kids into our YBC program.
Yeah.
Totally.
For sure.
Yeah. Somebody, Brett Hedrickson asked about what about coupons in the cereal, and we do try to court those national programs. I mean, we've had the cornflakes thing. We've had General Mills. We've had I think we had orange juice one year. We had it on flour. We try, but it's a tough sell lately because those companies actually pay to have the bowling on there. So we've got irons in the fire. It's just trying to get them to take it.
It's kind of like the TSN, right? Wasn't that something that,
Yes.
I mean, the proprietors had to pay for the production of that.
Right.
It wasn't like TSN said, hey, we'll do this for free and give away a bunch of prize money. Somebody was having to
Right.
pay for it, right?
Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting now that you talk about TSN. I think a lot of centers noticed an uptick when the TSN was on because
Huge.
it was front and center. It was Saturday morning sports. So it's just unfortunate that that had to end the way it did because it wasn't anything we did. It was just that CBC decided and TSN said, we're not going to do it anymore. And it sounds like it was a mandate that came from the top. It wasn't about bowling specifically. I know for TSN, they just said, we're only doing Olympic sports.
Right.
And
I think that's something that
bowling
selfishly us as 5PN Universe, we created the Pro League, right?
Sure.
And really, it's just because we want to get bowling back on TV. So we're putting
Totally.
in our time and energy and resources into putting bowling on TV by creating something. And the Pro League is what
Totally.
the answer was. And now here we are with 24 teams. And I know you're part of it, but
yes,
if all
I've got a team this year.
If all these bowling
Good players.
centers can help promote it as well, and they can put it on their TVs, then just the more traction and the more people watching it, like, oh, you're on TV. YouTube is
sure.
TV now. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, that my kids watch YouTube. We don't have cable, and they spend a lot of time watching TV still.
But you're right. Unfortunately, losing TSN was probably the biggest hit to our game that we've had.
It's tough.
In our history,
Yeah, it was
honestly.
tough.
Yeah.
And actually, during COVID, when there was no sports on TV, I tried to start a little grassroots campaign to get TSN or CBC to play some bowling. It was like, you guys don't have anything to show. Play bowling.
Yeah.
And
Well, and the hang up on that was I don't think it was an HD or something like that.
Yeah,
We don't
it was
play anything
something-
that's not an HD.
whatever.
Yeah. It is what it is, but
Yeah, but Ultimate Frisbee is.
exactly.
Ray, I think we're gonna have to cut it right now, but we got to get you back on.
I'm game.
Just perfect. Just about how everything we can have conversations for hours on this.
Sure, we can talk about all the bowlers that have ended up at my center because they don't want to be in Alberta anymore.
That's right.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
The senior games, right? Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
Frank
but-
Clark's one of my best coaches. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But once again, Ray, thanks for coming on, and I hope all the YBC membership's up, and I hope everything goes successful this year for you guys.
Great. Thanks, guys. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. So keep it up. Like I said, rising tides lift all ships.
Gotcha.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Right. Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, Ray. Perfect. Ray's always been so great and a great ambassador to the sport. So
Very well spoken. Obviously, he's open to questions and all that great stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
that guy's way smarter than any of us, that's for sure.
Good leader for
Yeah,
Bowl
he
Canada,
is.
right? Obviously put in 8 years as a VP, and now to move into a president role, right? And he's got some good things to say, and I like what he says. Everybody just support each other and share best practices, and that's what all the proprietors need to do, right?
Yeah, it was a good
Built-
choice. I think Ray is the president that we needed for Bowl Canada, and I'm glad he's there.
Good.
perfect. All right. So our final guest, I know I saw him all last weekend. Our C5 president, Len Elifson.
How's it going, Len?
Hey, great. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Great, thanks. Hey, you guys have an amazing show. I've been sitting here since you started, and I watched, listened to Brian Rossetti talk, and Ray, and listen to all the comments that you guys are having, and I think it's awesome. So good job.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Thank you.
it.
I really appreciate it.
And that's the fun that we try to do, is put on different guests every week, right? Whether it's bowlers that have history or past champions, or now we've got a bit of a good format, and Tim's obviously great at booking everybody, so it's a combined effort to get to where we're at for sure.
Excellent.
So Len, I guess you've been listening all the time. We'll get a little bit of a background on how you started or where you came from and how you became to be the position you're at.
Sure. Well, my story is a little different than the other two. I was not a bowler. I was a high school football player, high school sports, and then I met a young lady in grade 11, and we kind of got chatting, and I said, "What are you doing Sunday? We need to go out." And she says, "No, I can't. I got to go bowling." And I said, "You got to go what?" She says, I bowl in the senior YBC program, so I got to be down at Recreation Lanes in Brandon on 7 o'clock on Sunday night." So I said, "Well, come watch." And it just, I started bowling. And, she went to a few events, like the Youth Challenge and the 4 Steps to Stardom, and it just piqued my interest a little bit more. So, started bowling with her, and then joined a league, started bowling in a league, and then from there it was just, I thought I was a fairly decent bowler, but not great. So I thought I would get involved in the administration side of it. So we started a league on a Friday night, ran the league for a number of years, and then Bernie Britton ran Recreation Lanes out here in Brandon, and he recruited me to be his YBC program director. Did that for a few years, and then while doing that, moved up to the as a YBC zone rep for Bill Stewart out here in Manitoba. So then we held a YBC National in Winnipeg, and I was involved in that and thought, this is something I just really enjoyed giving back to the youth. So kept doing that, and again starting up a league in Brandon. I became the president of the Brandon 5-Pin Bowlers Association, and then things just kind of morphed, and I became the president of the Manitoba 5-Pin Bowling Association. Did that for about 7 years. Became the president of the Manitoba 5-Pin Bowling Federation for a couple of years. And when you're the president on Manitoba 5, you get a seat at the table at C5. So I attended a couple of C5 meetings with the late Geoff McMullen, great ambassador for the game. And him and I attended a couple of meetings, and then I got suckered into being elected as the secretary-treasurer for the C5 board. And then first vice president, which I held for about 6 years, 6 or 7 years at that. And then 2016 come along, and I changed careers and got involved in politics here in Manitoba. So I stepped down from C5, just thinking, I don't have the time, and if I can't give something my best, then I'm certainly not gonna do it. So I stepped down, and then 2 years ago, got a couple of phone calls. A few phone calls from some provinces saying, "Hey, would you be interested in running for president?" And so last year I said, "Yeah, let's do it." So I got elected back as president last year, and so I've got 1 more year left on my term, and we're moving things forward.
Absolutely. I know all the questions and all the answers, most of them, because I was there at the meeting this past weekend. Daryl, I know you have some questions you want to ask.
Yeah, well, no, Tim, I think it's just important. Let's talk about what, again, what's the mandate of C5? What's the overruling sort of philosophy? I mean, we're supporting the rules, but you also have the open tournaments, the Youth Challenge, the Interprovincial. So maybe just tell us a little bit about the program offerings first, Len.
Sure. So, well, it's a great segue when you talk about the mission of C5, which is really to provide programs and services to the members. Again, as you mentioned earlier, we are a members organization. So when we sit around the table even at the C5 meetings, when we talk about rule changes, when we talk about where our events are going and things like that, we really want the involvement of our members, which are our bowlers, our presidents, our vice presidents out in the provinces. So much to the fact that as a C5 executive member, and Tim can attest to this, we don't even get to vote, which is good, because we really want to hear from our members. We want them to run the association that's based on what is good for the association and what is good for our members. So when we look at that, our mandate is to ensure we have good quality coaching programs. We have good quality programs for our youth to come into, such as our Youth Challenge, and even something that will help the average bowler to get involved more in our sport, so that we can really enhance the game. And then, of course, we have the Open, which is more on the elite side, which is what we kind of end the year with, is our big push to end that. So we try to do a lot of things, and I know right now, we are looking at the coaching aspect of it. And again, you're right, Tim, as you mentioned, you have all the questions there, but you have the answers too, because Tim does just look after our technical portion. So when we look at coaching, we want to make sure that we have the ability to provide good coaching programs to those in Masters, good coaching programs for coaches throughout the YBC program, and then of course our own events as well. So we have a pretty big emphasis on coaching right now, especially when we're looking at how do you teach the coaching program. And we look at the I believe it used to be called the Master Learning Facilitators. Now they're Master Coaching and Development, I believe it is, MCD. Yeah. We started off to become a master coach. So those are the one who teach folks how to teach the course. To be a master developer, you need to develop the program. And out of the 7 people that developed the program, I believe we only have 4 left. And they're still not even that active anymore, because it's that generation. And just like Brian said earlier, we need to get that younger people in so that they can take over. So we are developing and working on some online virtual models so that we can get more coaches trained, get more coaches out there helping, so people can really enjoy the sport, right? So that's the aspect of the coaching, right? The technical piece of it, and then always trying to stay attuned to what is going on in the industry, right? So, Ray said, we got to work together, and that is so true, right? We would not have a game, an organization, if we didn't have the proprietors running bowling centers for us to host our games in, and we wouldn't have a program if we didn't have bowlers. So it's kind of a two-sided ship where we got to keep all of our books open, be willing to work with everybody, and really try to enhance the experience that bowlers have. If that makes sense.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess we can also mention that the new community level 1 virtual clinic is being is available online. But as we talked about with Len, part of the problem the part of the solution we're trying to create is we have to get the learning facilitators online to be virtually trained before we can do a virtually online class. So it's part of our regimen we're doing right now to get that going.
What about the events specifically? What's going down this year? Where are national championships for those 3: Youth Challenge, IP, and the Open?
Sure. Well, I got to say we're really excited. Lots of opportunities for us, but this year, as I think you mentioned a little bit earlier, we are making progress here in Manitoba. Things are really coming along. People are getting excited. People want to get involved. They want to see our sport grow. So we're actually going to be hosting the Youth Challenge at Rossmere Lanes out here in Winnipeg, March 22nd to 25th. So that's really a great opportunity for us to move that forward. Marilyn McMullen, who is now the Vice President of Manitoba, she is also chairing that event. So I know we shared a whole bunch of information with all the presidents over the weekend. And of course, because we didn't know where the event was going to be hosted until last weekend, we have a lot more information coming in the very near days of where we're staying and what we're using. But we are using Rossmere Lanes, so it should be pretty exciting. I would like to maybe play with the idea, and I know we did this in Edmonton one year when we hosted the youth, when you folks hosted the Youth Challenge in Edmonton, is we had more of a youth group get together and discuss the program and discuss how we can enhance it. And again, I'm only the president. I don't run the organization, but I would really like to see us do something like that again, and just get that valuable feedback. And I'd like to extend that to all the events we have. So even the interprovincial, when we head to Thunder Bay in April 27th to 29th. I believe we're going to use both Mario's and Galaxy for the interprovincial. And again, it would be nice to have the opportunity to have the bowlers provide input on the event. I don't want to stale date any of our events. I want to make sure that we're always creating new ideas, getting things that are exciting, but getting things that the bowlers want to see. So whether it's more games, different rotations, things like that. And then, of course, as you're well aware, the Open will be hosted in Edmonton, May 30th to June 3rd. So looking forward to coming back out for that one. And it's exciting. Things are happening. Coming out of these past 2 years, which have been depressing for a lot of bowlers across the country, we now have something to look forward to. Again, as a bowlers organization, we really want to enhance the sport and make it enjoyable, but make it competitive as well. And I see that, with the 5-pin universe, you guys have done an amazing thing by creating that next level so that folks, may get involved in that. And I even saw today where someone had purchased a membership. I think it was on Facebook, purchased a membership to join your organization. And to me, that's because all the groups are working together to promote the sport.
I think that was Aaron, and he's looking to have his own team at some point in time in the league, right? Which is great. I mean, we've got lots of in the pro league. That's a side thing.
Absolutely.
Question regarding the membership in order to belong to C5. Now, not every not every league bowler belongs to the C5 membership program. Maybe evolve a little bit around that. What that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, well, ideally in everybody's mind, if you had everybody having a membership would be ideal. But again, because it is a members organization, we want members to feel that there is a value to them to join the association. Forcing someone to have a membership at this point is probably not, in my mind, is not the best thing to do. I would like people to say, hey, I don't have a membership. Not that I don't want one, but I don't know what's in it for me. And then you can explain it to them, work with them, let them know why a membership is valuable, what it pertains to, and then they can come on board. But then again, we need to have the programs available that enhances their membership and allows them to participate. So, yeah, we struggle a little bit, again, because of the last 2 years. We also respect the fact that we're in somebody else's house, right? Because we don't own the bowling centers, we're in somebody else's house. And we certainly are in no shape to tell the proprietors how we want things to work. We certainly want to work with them and do what's best that can benefit them and us. And again, we want we want the proprietors to be successful by bringing as many people into their bowling centers as possible. And if we can do that by increasing our membership, then it's a win-win for everybody.
You guys are sort of at the whim of the proprietors to obviously push your membership and push your events. I know it's not a perfect solution because if your bowlers are in a center that doesn't want to push any of those things and doesn't want to push, is there another way that they can get involved? Is there have you guys? I mean, I guess it's provincial memberships, not national membership, correct?
That is correct, yeah. So at this moment, anyways, yeah, the Canadian 5-Pin Association does not sell memberships directly to the members. It is provincial memberships, and people, it's like you're buying one and getting two. So you buy your provincial membership, but you automatically get the C5 membership with it. So we rely heavily on the C5 members, which are the provinces. To get down to their grassroots, to get down to the leagues, and get that information out there. And sometimes that's a challenge. When you only have so many volunteers to go around to try to get to every league 1 night a week, and share information and things like that. It's tough to do. And that's why we need to work with the proprietors and let them know that we're there to help them. And of course, we ask for their assistance as well.
So is the opportunity, I mean, obviously this would have to happen at a provincial level, but the opportunity to purchase memberships online, as we were just saying about the WCBT membership there with Aaron, is that something you guys would consider? Because, I mean, obviously at this point, there's obviously going to be some tournaments that if that center doesn't push the tournaments, then they won't get like high-low doubles or things like that, but that would give them the opportunity to see the Open, go play the IP, and then maybe have their email database so that you can communicate with them in a more efficient sort of way, and allow your communication to them and tell them when these events are coming up. Is that something that you would just take some of the pressure off of the proprietors that you're reliant on, and you can't always trust that they're going to be pushing your stuff, right?
No, absolutely, and absolutely. If someone was to contact the Canadian Five Pin Association on our website, on our Facebook page, and say, I want to buy a membership, absolutely, we just refer them. We will get in touch with the local association, the provincial association, and say, here you go. It's no different than my political world. If someone wants to buy a membership, they don't come to me. They go to the party here in Manitoba. They're going to get a hold of me and say, John Doe wants to purchase a membership. We would definitely do the same thing, but it would be we can. There are so many options that we can do, and we're looking at, and that's one of them. How do we enhance our website so that we can do live membership sales? But we want to make sure we associate it with the provinces, because some of the provinces, they have the federations, they have their sport bodies in the province that provide them with some type of funding based on members. So we want to make sure that they get credit for those members as well.
Absolutely.
For sure. And so sorry, Dex. Speaking on behalf of Alberta, we do have our membership you can purchase online through us. Yeah. As well. So if somebody awesome. Can't do it, it's a little bit easier to do that because some centers might not have it available, or sometimes somebody behind the desk might not have it. So at least we have that option. Yeah. We did talk about Len. I think we did talk about it was a thing like Brett Hendricks had talked about membership needs value. Len had some ideas that we had some ideas that we might bring forward and increase our membership value, like a membership. We're talking about maybe a membership database or like area in the website maybe down the road. We are reevaluating those things, and I do believe that our membership right now does have value. It just depends where you're at, right? So
yeah, well, when you look at memberships, if I just really quickly, sorry about that, Daryl, but when you look at memberships, we have an opportunity, and I even said this to our board and actually to all of our board of directors, is we struggled over the last 2 years because of COVID. I think our priority is to try to get back to some kind of normalcy and bring the numbers back up of our regular bowlers. Let's enhance. I mean, we had 154,000 members in I believe it was 1983. When you look, with COVID last year, around just under 10,000 members because of COVID. So I think we have some work to do to get those numbers back up. But once we do that, then we can have an opportunity to move forward to how do we introduce bowling to newcomers, new Canadians? How do we involve the Indigenous population and provide them with an opportunity to learn a truly Canadian sport, right? Because, again, when you look at newcomers, they don't know anything about five-pin bowling. They've never seen it because it is only in Canada. So, we have those opportunities, and I have those as my second and third priority because I want to get us back as much to the normal piece as I can before we move on and try to enhance what we have. Let's enhance the no normal rather than enhancing where we are now.
Yeah, great comments. I was just going to say we are seeing really good comments about the membership and some of the leagues. Kathy says their leagues are 100% mandatory. Tim, I know our Sunday night league is 100%. It's part of your dues and stuff. So, sharing best practices again is a good idea. A question to you, Len, is so with that, how would you define success for this year? Based on would it be increased membership? And of course, C5 has an array of mandates, whether it's coaching, whether it's tournaments, whether it's memberships, whether it's people. But I don't know if you can sum it up, but what does success look like for C5 over the next year?
I guess when we look at success, because we have the three events, and if we can have bowlers that are going back to their bowling centers saying, man, that event was fantastic. Like the Interprovincial is a really good example. They do different types of qualifying in every province. Like there's not too many provinces that do exactly the same qualifying for it, right? But in the end, they're all coming. Our grassroots bowlers are coming to this event And when they're leaving, they're saying, man, I'm going to that event again next year. And if we see that slight increase in our events at the league level or at the provincial level, then that's a success, right? Because at a national level, we're not going to see much of a change in participation at our national events, right? We only have so many spots in the Open. We only have so many spots in the Youth Challenge. Those are going to stay pretty steady. But when we see at the provincial levels or at the league levels, house levels, that participation is increasing to qualify, then that's success. But again, if we can increase memberships, that certainly shows what we're doing. If we can move our sport ahead, I don't know how many times you guys have had conversations in Alberta about the dress code, right? I said at our meeting, I never ever want to talk about the dress code again. Yeah, way too many, right?
Tim said it about 100 times, and then he comes back and is like, we talked about dress code.
Yeah, we did. I said I never want to talk about dress code, and what do? I put it on the agenda. Yeah. So, but if we can enhance the dress code so that it's meeting the expectation of our bowlers, right? It's not about the 8 of us on our 4, 5, 7 of us on the executive, or the 22 of us sitting around the table coming up with a dress code. It's about listening to our members, listen to the bowlers, right? And if we're enhancing or changing it to make more people accept the dress code and say, yeah, that makes sense, right? Then that's a success. So, I mean, my whole list of about 45 items, I could go through and say, if this happened, it would be success, right? But it's a matter of, again, enhancing the sport, getting more people involved, but really having that ultimate satisfaction so that we can retain our members and not have to start the recruitment process all over again next year. So, and even at that, we did have, I assigned a group an opportunity to sit down and look at a working group on membership recruitment and retention. And, they spent an hour and a half on it. And, some really good information come out of it. But again, we need to work on it, and we need to certainly involve Brian and Ray and work with the other organizations to make sure it's seamless, right? At our Open last year, we had a 4-year-old who was at the event and kind of playing with the balls, not on the lanes playing with the balls, but just playing with the balls before everything started. We also, as some of you are aware, had a lady who was over 90 that went up on the lanes and threw one ball in the warm-up, before the event started. And it really shows that this game is available from very, very young to our more experienced bowler, right? And then, again, it's the game there, but it's also the sport when you look at the events that all 3 of our organizations have.
I think you made a great comment there about the retention. I think for any business, that should be maybe number one priority, is focusing on business retention rather than prospecting new accounts. We all know it's easier to keep a happy customer than it is to try to get a new one. Yeah. You had mentioned, Len, about the board. You have 7 executive and then 22 board members. So what does that comprise of? Is that, every province across the country? Tell us a bit about the board makeup.
Sure. So yeah, we do. We have 4 executive positions. We have the president. Annette Bruno from Alberta is our first vice president. Tim is our second vice president, looking after technical. And then Vanessa Guerrero from Quebec is our new secretary-treasurer, just elected this past weekend. And then we have 3 directors at large. So one from Northwest Territories, one from Nova Scotia, and then one from Newfoundland and Labrador. So that makes up our executive and our executive committee. Plus we have 2 representatives from every province and territory that sit around the table, right? So again, we have, those 22, I think we had 24 altogether at our meeting over the weekend. And that's what makes up. And obviously there's a couple of people like BC, they have 1 person at the meeting, but they do have 2. So often, odds like that. But no, we do have really good participation, really great ideas from all across the country.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. I think I sat on I was a couple of years, I can't remember when, but another dozen years ago. But I've talked to Tim, obviously, and it was since your recent meeting, Tim, and you were pretty happy about the packed information at these meetings. 3 days worth of full packed 9 to 5, and I think that's just great to see, is that you're taking the time to get together and you're working hard on the decisions and the things that are coming out of it. So engagement sounds by all accounts good within the board members, which is obviously important for progress as well.
Yeah, it is very important. And again, not meeting for 2 years, or we met, but virtually. We certainly took the opportunity, and I do have to apologize to my executive because I really wanted to have an executive meeting on the Thursday night. We started at 4:00 and we finished at about 9:15. But it helps us set the tone for the next 2 days, right? And again, when you run an agenda and you go through it really quick, what do you really accomplish? So we were able to throw in, we had a nice little icebreaker, but then we were able to throw in an hour and 45 minutes worth of really, really close teamwork. Where we put people together in 5 different groups and assign them each a topic where they discuss it and gather ideas and then bring the report back to everybody and then have a further discussion on it. We didn't do anything with the information we received then, but I have all the notes, and now we're going to generate, moving forward. Because I'm sure all of you will agree there's nothing worse than going to a meeting, spending 3 days together, going home, and not doing anything until you meet again 6 months later. So we actually have put together 3 working groups that are going to do some amazing work over the next 6 months. And I'm going to be calling all the chairs in the next 3 weeks to find out where they're at. And I'm going to do that every 2 to 3 weeks. So it's a good time to be in 5-pin bowling.
Yeah.
Now, can you give us any insight on any of the technical changes? One of the biggest change in recent years was obviously the allowance from 18-inch to 17 inches. Do we foresee any other drastic technical change in the game that might, increase numbers, or where are we sort of at with the technical side of things? What are we working on?
Well, we really didn't have anything come to us as the sport governing body. When there's changes, it needs to be presented to us so that we can have a look at it and make sure it fits in with the realm of what we're doing. I know there's some talk about bans and things like that, but I don't think we're close to anything because nothing has come to us yet. But I certainly encourage and welcome opportunity for changes in the sport, whether it's technical or whatever, because that's progress. So when things are happening out there, and I know Tom England is very good at checking things out, and I know him and I had a conversation not that long ago, but there's nothing ready to come forward yet. So I would say there's always an opportunity to tweak the sport, to enhance it. Again, when you look at all of you folks, the elite bowlers out there, they have their way of dealing with things. They have a way of working with things. But we also have the grassroots bowler, and how do we keep them interested? And sometimes you do need to make those little adjustments to make the game a little bit easier for new bowlers or league bowlers, and then change it up a little bit so when you do have your play, whether it be the Open or the Masters or whatever, that it's a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, we have to remember that at the end of the day, the WCBT players or the Club Tour players were the less than 1% of national bowlers. You said 10,000 people, or years ago it was 150,000. We're, what, guys, 200? 250 if you want to put maybe a few more into that pool that are playing at the Open national level or the Masters tournament level national. We're a small percentage, but we're often the loudest and the squeakiest and the ones that are also pushing things forward too. So you take it and you give it, right? It's kind of how it works.
Yeah. No, excellent.
Perfect. Do you guys have anything else you guys want to add in there?
Oh man, that's everything I wanted to hear. It's so great to see the associations working forward and coming up with all these great ideas and having these working groups. That's something that you don't hear too often, the associations building working groups outside of their meetings, right? That's a huge step, and I love it.
It is. Go ahead, Tim. I was just going to say, it is a real challenge because we got to remember everybody around that table are volunteers, right? Yeah. So they're going to go back to their jobs, whether they're working 80 hours a week or 120 hours a week, and then we're asking them on the side of their desk to have a look at this sport we call 5-pin bowling, right? Mm-hmm. So to get that commitment from 23 people to split up onto committees, and some on more than one committee, I think is pretty awesome. I'm excited about this year and what the future has. I think we're the only place we can go is up.
I've been to, I think, about 10 C5 meetings, and I thoroughly believe this was the best one I've been to. We had a lot of dialogue. The working groups afterwards, I think it's very important. Virtual meetings are great, but you never can get a whole lot done on virtual, I believe. Face-to-face, having lunches, having side talks. Doesn't matter what association you're in. I think that is very much valuable. Like I said, like we have a couple working groups, and I'm very lucky to be the one on dress code. It looks like so. My favorite topic, and I'm in charge of dress code. So, but I mean, first thing we did was we emailed out everybody who was part of my dress code committee and figure out what days we can meet. Right. So I really excited to see the progress forward, and not just our association but others as well. So it's a good thing.
So you said, Tim, this was the best meeting you've ever been to in 10 years?
I think so. Or in 10 events, 10 times. Yeah, I think so. Just maybe because the 2 years that we had off, right? I think was having one in person was really good, and then I think we had a lot of, at least in my group, we had a lot of meat and potatoes to it, right?
Yeah.
And a good positive. It wasn't everybody was working together. It seemed so. It was really good that way.
Good to hear.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Perfect.
Well, Len, thank you very much for coming on and
Thank you, Len.
Expressing the C5's prerogative and what they're going forward with. And we can't thank the rest of the guys being on too. Ray and Brian, I think the associations are in great hands. I love it.
Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate it, and I look forward to being on again and bringing you updates if when it happens.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Len.
Okay.
Thanks, Len.
Guys. Have
Thanks
a good
very
one.
much.
Perfect.
Awesome. That was
You something we didn't really talk about with any of them, and obviously all three of these presidents, they're volunteers in their right as well. From C5, President, Bowl Canada President, Masters President, right? So got to give tons of respect and appreciation for them for being, volunteers in that role. Maybe there's a little bit, honorarium, call it what it is, but certainly not getting anybody any pay. But what we didn't say is that they all have a staff in behind that are obviously running offices, right? There's a Masters office, there's a C5 office, there's a Bowl Canada office with salaried, paid positions that are helping run the associations as well. Maybe a future podcast would be having the executive directors of each of these associations and go into the meat of it maybe at some point. But this was obviously great, and I know that they're all great organizations and looking to improve the game of bowling for us all. So,
yeah.
great
It's great 'cause
podcast, buddy.
You can hear that. You can hear the passion, right? You can hear the passion in all of them, and that's really ultimately what you're looking for, is people who are passionate about the game, because those are going to be the people that will actually drive the game forward, and not just stay stale. And this is the way we've done it for 100 years, and that's just not acceptable anymore. And so I think we're in good hands. You can hear the passion. You can hear that they want to push the game forward and build those numbers back up, and it's exciting.
Well, we need to be willing to change, right? I mean, the world is not the same as it was 3 years ago. It just isn't. It's different. So leaders and execs, they need to be ready to listen and ready to progress and ready to do something different.
Yeah.
It's just not the same anymore, right?
Yeah.
No, it looks. I'm excited for the future. We have a lot of good stuff going on here, right? So, very fortunate to be part of it. So,
Carrie, do we have a president's report for you from WCBT?
Everything's moving forward. No, but we'll have that discussion hopefully on a future podcast.
I feel like
we get to bring
discuss
the
all the
5-pin
time.
universe stuff and the WCPT stuff to the forefront. But we want to give these guys as much attention as they deserve, because we wouldn't have our stuff without their stuff. So,
Yep,
For sure.
totally.
So with that all being said, we want to thank our patrons. You can become a patron at patreon.com/5pinuniverse for as little as $2 a month. And this you can change after you sign up. If you sign up for the $2 and you maybe that's not enough, you want to up your rates, you definitely can. It's changeable. Or if you invested too much and you're sick and tired of us, you can downgrade, but please don't leave. Because we need you guys to continue bringing these types of podcasts to you, and we we couldn't do it without all your support. So once again, thank you to all the patrons and all the future patrons.
Absolutely.
What else do you guys got? Anything? We're good to wrap this show up?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's a good show. Just leave it at that. I mean, there's obviously lots we could talk about, but I think this show is dedicated to the organizations that we had on. Important to leave it at that, I think. So it was awesome to have them for sure.
All right. You guys enjoy the rest of your week and stay hydrated. 'Cause she's hot.
Drink your water.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See ya.